You are listening to the Beaverton, North America's trusted source of news.
This week on the Beaverton, a CEO and his head of HR went viral after they were caught canoodling by a kiss cam at a Coldplay concert. Could have been worse. I was once put on a kiss cam with my sister. True story. Stephen Colbert was canceled by CBS in advance of submitting a merger approval to the Trump admin. If only there was still some kind of razor-sharp satirical character on TV who could champion this move while exposing just how bullshit it is. Oh well. The U.S. ambassador says Trump thinks Canadians are nasty for avoiding U.S. travel. Also because he just found out some of us put ketchup on our macaroni and cheese. That's right, it's time to make fun of the news once again on the Beaverton Weekly Report. Welcome to the show, everyone. So glad you are tuning in. I'm your host, Luke Gordon-Field. Joining me this week is a regular panelist that is one of 100 candidates currently running against Pierre Poilievre in this by-election, Ian MacIntyre.
I'm actually 5 of them.
And a brilliant stand-up comic, as well as the host of the hit podcast, The Villain Was Right, Craig Fay.
Yes, hey, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It is an honor to be here.
You know what is so great about this? Is that the last time I did your podcast, you thanked me for having you on your podcast. And now as a guest on my podcast, you thanked me for coming.
My God.
And we bookended this so perfectly.
There we go. Yes. Intros are not my forte.
Yeah, you've only done 500 of them?
Yeah, something around there. Yeah.
So check out The Villain Was Right and skip the first 20 seconds and dive into every episode. Yes, thank you for being here. We really appreciate you coming on. And we're excited to dive in. This is our penultimate episode before we go on a little summer vacation and or disappear for another 6.5 years. Either way, respect the bit. I want to jump in with a story that's kind of unfolding in real time as we record. Carney and the premiers are at the cottage. I went back and listened to that Baroness, or watched that Baroness von sketch.
Oh, yeah, but
where
the
they're all
cottage
just
rules.
we're at the cottage, time for an orgy, and just get drunk all day. And now I can't stop imagining that, but with Danielle Smith's face in place of Carolyn Taylor. So yeah, Carney and the premiers are.
Welcome to our podcast, everyone.
Carney and the premiers are at Deerhurst Resort, for an update on many things, including obviously U.S. trade talks. How did it strike you guys, the optics of a first minister's meeting at a luxury resort in the midst of this quasi-economic crisis we're in?
Oh, I think the optics are actually really great because I think people are just going to hear all the premiers are at the cottage and then they'll tune out. and they're just picturing it being oh yeah, they're all at Doug Ford's cottage. It's like an A-frame with an outhouse. And they're going to ignore the fact that it's a compound.
Yeah. Because I assume, I would love it if, the thing that every cottage owner does when they have a host, and I have done it to you guys myself, whereas, everyone's so excited to get there. Okay, now let me spend 20 minutes unpacking the rules of the cottage for you. But just Doug Ford to Danielle Smith being if it's yellow, let it mellow.
If it's brown, flush it. Yeah, I would love it if that was the level of the cottage that we're at. You go into the bunkhouse with a broom and get all the spider webs out of the. I remember when I was a kid, we'd go up to a place and for some reason, all the wet water toys would get thrown on the mattress in the bunkhouse, and we were this will never be an issue. So it always kind of smelt a little bit off, and you're I love the idea that they're in that kind of cottage. Clearly, they are not.
No, I mean.
I don't think Doug Ford's opening up the cottage in May himself.
Taking the shutters down.
Yeah.
Honestly,
yeah.
Doug Ford
priming the water pump.
Yeah, Doug Ford under a cottage trying to find the leak where it burst in the winter and
Yeah, it's Francois Legault bathing in the lake because they don't have running water.
Yeah.
That guy's butler is paying another butler to do that for him.
Everyone bring their own water because you can't drink from the lake. Mark Carney gets beaver fever.
I have never heard that expression before.
Oh, you heard beaver fever?
Please elaborate.
I've heard it, but it was on a Ribald T-shirt.
I think it's just from drinking bad water, and I think it's dysentery.
Okay, yeah, it's Canadian dysentery.
Yeah, it's you drank from the water that the beavers were pissing in.
You understand why we had some questions, having not heard that before, right?
Yes.
That might mean something else.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now that I hear it.
We've also been to your cottage, Craig, which is lovely, but I suspect that was a term around there that does not travel outside of your family's cottage.
Fair enough.
Yes. So they're spending some of the time at the Ford's Cottage. That has passed. The rest of the time they're checked into the luxury Deerhurst Resort up in Muskoka. So that's the situation with the cottage. They're in addition to observing all cottage rules, they are also dealing with some business. The first item that was up was the Indigenous consultation on Bill C-5, which is the national project, aka no dissent whatsoever law that Mark Carney just passed. As people are probably aware at this point, Carney refused to do meaningful consultation with Indigenous groups. He has refused to allow them to suggest changes to the bill. It's basically a fuck you, my way or the highway bill.
It's almost as if this globe-trotting national economist doesn't like to hear opinions from people who don't have multi-million-dollar stock portfolios.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like maybe there's some some of the downside in hiring a guy who's just been able to do whatever he wants and tell everyone what to do for the last 30 years has some downsides in the form of not great at taking feedback.
Not great. No.
Consultation.
Yeah, he's not a real open door office policy kind of prime minister.
Yeah, call me Mark. Yeah, no, there's not a lot of that. No. The anonymous suggestion box is sealed tight shut.
Or with a camera watching it to see who puts what in. Yeah.
That's even better because then you find the bastards. I'm immediately on his team.
I worked for you before. Oh, God.
Yes. All those hidden cameras I had at that Pentecostal church / TV studio we worked out of
where we filmed the Beaverton. That was super fun hearing people speaking in tongues in the next room over.
It was a trip, man, because it was I'd always forget. And then Friday afternoon, I didn't know Friday was the Pentecostal day. Friday afternoon, we're just eating our whatever cafeteria meal get delivered that week. We're trying to punch up jokes for the next week's taping, and you just hear the fucking craziest shit coming through the walls.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was a journey. And then downstairs they're filming MasterChef Canada, and you're like, what is happening?
Scarborough, baby.
Yeah, Scarborough's happening. That's exactly right.
That's where they should have had the conference.
A real melting pot of Canada.
Yeah. And not to go back to this, but I do hope that they're doing a little bit better than having to go to the Motel 6 in Scarborough.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I think there's a balance between we're going to the fanciest resort in the Muskokas and we're staying off the 400 at a sun-baked motel that advertises a color and you know what I mean? Because all the letters are gone from the air conditioning and color TV side.
Get some of that real wet egg continental breakfast. No other touring comedians.
I never made it to you get your own breakfast. I never made it that far. I was in we'll throw you a muffin at the club stage. But yeah, so the issue with the Indigenous consultation or lack thereof is obviously, this feels to me, and I leave this open to your guys' thoughts. This feels to me like the latest example of the rollback of all this progress that people in Canada and in the United States, both at government and in private, were making on racial issues and gender issues and just general progress. And this feels like just yet another way that things are, trans rights, DEI, everything's kind of rolling back. And this feels like that.
Did we make progress on those things?
There was a feeling that progress was happening. Whether
there was lip service paid to progress.
And it felt good.
Good.
And people got so mad about just lip service.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's one thing that was so funny about kind of Trump being elected at the whole tariff thing in Canada was exactly what you're describing is all of a sudden everyone's oh, well, we can't think about the environment anymore. Whole big problem, and the thing that the West hated about Justin Trudeau, among many others, is the mishandling of the pipelines and whatnot, and we want to build a pipeline.
Except for the pipeline he bought.
Except for the pipeline that he bought, yeah, but we don't count that one. We count the one that he didn't build.
Everyone has to do one.
Everyone has to do one, and you're well, Alberta hates that, the federal government's holding up projects that benefit them, et cetera, et cetera. And then you just kind of go oh, well, we just elected a liberal leader who is basically going to do all of that anyway. And you're oh, well, we don't have the Indigenous rights thing lined up. We don't have the environmental stuff lined up. We're all just I don't know. It does feel like a backtrack. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think Carney not listening to Indigenous consultation shows he was ready to be Prime Minister of Canada. I think he's just continuing our long, proud tradition of saying it's a thing and then not actually listening whatsoever.
Yes. Cynical MacIntyre showed up today.
Hey, it's summer and it's hot.
I didn't make you wear pants. For sure there is an element of like, and you're right to call me out on, like, was anything actually accomplished into the Trudeau area, or was it just a facade with fancy socks? Like,
right.
For sure, was there actually any kind of nation-to-nation, collaboration or communication, or was it all just bullshit this whole time, and Carney's just not even doing the veneer that Trudeau put up? It's a very fair question. Certainly us three white dudes are the ones to answer it.
I believe three white dudes in their 30s and up are the definition of a podcast, actually.
Yeah, it's like
a podcast of men. Yes.
Yeah. It's like a murder of crows and a podcast of white men. Yes. And like, I do also understand the frustration of not being able to get things done. Like sure. Canada should have a high-speed rail network between Montreal and Windsor going through Toronto and Ottawa, right? We should have that. Yeah. And the federal government has announced it so many times, and every time I'm like, well, that's never happening.
No.
Yeah.
Right? And we should be able to build a train between the most populous cities in the world, but somehow, or in Canada, sorry, not the world, but like how do we do that? And I feel like this bill is like a little bit of a let's learn how to do things again.
But it's a very specific let's learn how to do things.
Yes.
Let's learn how I do things.
Yeah,
let's steamroll over things. And again, maybe that is the only way to build. I'm not 100% saying it's not. All the the great cities of Europe, and you look at how many miles and kilometers of subway they have and trains they have, it's like that was all built at a time when they obviously had no environmental consultation.
No
obviously there was no historical concerns, no indigenous groups to deal with, and they paid laborers 5 cents, 20 cents if you died. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get that there was a time and a place when you could build, and it is the Gilded Age, and John D. Rockefeller's making a bundle, and everyone else is miserable. And maybe a return to that is how you get subways built, and trains and everything else. But it's also like, then you're going to take some criticism.
I think the other thing that gets passed over is that Europe pretty much got to start with a blank slate in 1945.
Why? What happened?
Yeah, that was great for them. They were really happy about it.
They were super stoked.
There was lots of places you could put trains.
Lots of hollowed out buildings.
And boy, did they ever. Europe, man, their trains are all over the place. There are trains to get to trains. It's,
So obviously there's the indigenous component of it. The main reason for the meeting, other than just hitting up the cottage, because it's summer, is...
Because, the cottage is where people get work done. Where people have serious conversations and get stuff accomplished.
I am picturing both of you, and I have seen this with my own eyes, floating in a lake with a beer can, floating beside you, just balanced perfectly.
When we figured out sitting on a pool noodle in the lake was the optimal place to not have to move, that was a game changer.
That really was, Shout out to Jen for Dean's wife.
My wife knows what's up. She knows how to relax.
She knows how to do it. But yes, there was the indigenous component, and then there was the main reason for the update is, for the meeting, is the update on trade talks. The deadline with the United States, of course, the deadline is August 1st. Trump has said publicly that if no deal by then, 35% tariffs. Unclear if he means across the board or on select things. Usually with Trump, it's just a blanket statement, and then things get specified later. So,
and then rolled back, and then changed, and then specified in Truth Social.
Yeah, and then he forgot he rolled it back, and just is like, what's happened to those tariffs? Yeah, all those things. So Carney has publicly said we will need to live with some tariffs. Today, in a press conference, he said, the government of Canada will not accept a bad deal. Our objective is not to reach a deal whatever it costs. In other words,
the governor of Canada is in favor of good things and things that are good, not things that are bad.
Yes,
what a moral backbone.
So
it'd be pretty impressive if he came out and was just like, look, I don't think this will get to him. So let me just publicly state, we'll take anything. Anything at all. We will sign on the dotted line. You can somehow put more tariffs on it, and as long as we call it a deal, we'll sign it.
In
That would be
fairness,
an
if Donald
interesting
Trump has watched a minute of CBC in his entire life, I'll eat my hat.
No, that's true.
But he might have an advisor or two who can tell him that Carney said that, you know?
I don't think so. I really don't. I don't think there's a single human being in that building or that entire town who has watched anything but Fox News for 10 years.
I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find a Canadian who follows. Anyway,
fair enough.
Hey, I was just referencing a Baroness von sketch.
I literally was checking CBC News on my way here.
You know, a Baroness von sketch bit that I definitely watched in real time on TV and didn't just see on YouTube later. Anyways, at this point, you know, given all this, what does a win in negotiations with Trump look like?
Not getting Iran'd.
Not getting bombed is all.
Yeah, not getting cruise missiles thrown at us. I think is let's all win.
Okay, low bar, like it. Yeah, I mean that's the thing is there doesn't seem to be any kind of like barometer. Like when this deal gets announced, because I do believe they will strike a deal. When this deal gets announced, I don't think I'll have any way to judge its efficacy. Like it's just one of those things where it's going to be like, oh, we got a deal, good. But I don't know that. I mean, as they're already laying the ground for. Well, there's still going to be tariffs. So it's like if it's a deal that just like eliminates like a few tariffs, and we still have billions of dollars lost in tariffs every year. But we got a deal. That's not a good thing because, you know, before Trump was elected, we didn't have any of this. But is it just the best of a bad circumstance? What do we do? I don't know.
I have no idea. Like I think you need like maybe comedians are the wrong people to ask about like exports and imports and things. You're like, I don't know. I heard, I forget who it was. It may have been Doug Ford saying like, well, we should stop exporting aluminum to the U.S. and importing aluminum beverage cans from them. We should learn how to make aluminum beverage cans in Canada. And you're like, that sounds reasonable. Sure. I don't like. So like maybe that's the best case scenario is like we all are hurt for a while because, you know, the biggest market and biggest trade partner has been a huge dick to us, and we kind of turn more inwards or like more towards like Asia and the EU. Like maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's the silver lining is like, oh, we do diversify and start, you know, I don't know, selling beaver tails to Germany or something. I don't know. What?
Well, Germany famously tough to get bread-based dishes.
And they love whimsy, too. They love whimsy in their food.
Do the Danish need beaver tails?
Wait. Think about that for 1 second. Do the Danish need a dessert-based thing?
Well, how about the French? The Italians? Certainly someone needs some sort of sweet pastry in Europe.
I literally... Okay, doesn't matter. Let's move on.
No, I was just going to say, I think you're totally right, though, Craig. Like, I think... Yes, all jokes aside, the only thing that we can do right now is recognize that the trade talks with the U.S. are just going to be a constantly moving target as long as he is president. Yeah. They are meaningless. They're utterly meaningless because anytime he feels like he needs a news hit for the day, he's just going to make up something new. And then it won't stick, and it's just chasing the soccer ball around. All we can do is try and build up our national capacity and try and weather this out. And that's, I mean, what I was hoping would happen with Carney and all of this talk of like, it's time to build things and stuff like that. I was hoping he could go to people and make the case of, yes, we have been intractable on this for decades. There's a real threat right now, and we just have to figure this out. Like talking, and I'd hoped that would mean meaningful Indigenous consultation. I guess it doesn't. And maybe it's not too late for that. Maybe he actually can start doing it, but you hope that people can start being like, oh, we have to get this done now because there's no choice. Yeah. But there's nothing for us in the States anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you on that. The thing I'll pick you up on is I think if there's pen to paper on something, and I think it was Legault who was talking about this, like whatever the deal is, just having certainty, and I understand what you're going to say, which is it's possible to have certainty with Trump, just having an element of certainty about what the situation is will make Canadian companies and by extension the Canadian economy's lives so much easier.
Yeah.
So even if it is 10% tariffs across the board or something that would be really shitty and we would all have been very upset about 6, 7, 8 months ago, the certainty of it might be a value in and of itself that is worth the trade-off of, okay, we've agreed to tariffs that, again, before Trump, we never would have agreed to.
Well, and even domestically, there's the answer to the question of what industries do we need to support? Like, if it's going to be like, oh, the auto industry is getting fucked, then the Canadian government needs to step in and help the Canadian auto industry to compete or do trade or whatever. But if you go and help the Canadian auto industry, and then 6 months later it's the lumber industry, or vice versa, or whatever, or the banks, or whatever it is, then you don't know where to.
We're not helping the banks. Fuck that. No. Fuck the banks. I don't care how much Trump fucks them. Fuck
I was trying to think of a third thing.
Yeah.
This is Canada. All we do is help the banks.
You know what I mean? But like, then you know where to direct your resources. But I mean, even domestically, you go like, who are we helping out now? Who's getting hit hardest? Is it aluminum producers? Is it steel producers? Is it
softwood lumber?
Softwood lumber? Is it potash? That's the big one. That's the big one.
That's the big one. Yeah. See, well, that's the one they kind of can't live without us for. That's our kind of trump card, but not included. But which is just that because like they don't make that. Whereas like everything else, Trump's like, we don't need this, we don't need this, and it's bullshit. But there's some logic behind it. Like, the United States could make its own lumber. Yes, they could do they have more oil and gas than us. We're more efficient at getting it out, blah, blah, blah. But like they do have more oil and gas than us. So it's like they don't technically need us for that. But potash is the one thing they just don't make.
Yeah.
So that's the one where it's like anytime Trump like puts tariffs on that, a bunch of red state farmers lose their fucking minds because their farms go bankrupt without it.
Here's the thing. You guys are totally right. And in a rational world, yes, the certainty would help Canada. It would help us plan. It would help us make policy. It would help us do all those things. Certainty does nothing for Trump.
That's true.
The thing he gets out of all of this is the uncertainty of being able to say, I dictate the market day by day by my whims. I'm that powerful. I control the news cycle. I control the attention. That's it. That's the whole value add for him. He doesn't care if ultimately red states fall apart. He truly doesn't care. It's he'll just keep weathering it.
Yeah. No, just think that Donald Trump cares about a Mississippi farmer is insane.
Not at the least. And I think the thing we just have to recognize is we have to do whatever we can around this guy who is never going to be a good faith actor.
100%. My concern is the idea of, well, let's, and Carney was talking about this again today. Let's go to Europe. Let's go to Asia. Let's find new partners. Carney today was like, we got our phones ringing off the hook with people who want to do business with us.
Carney said that?
Yeah. I know. It's a very Trumpy statement.
It sounds very Trumpy, yeah.
I think he said it in French, so maybe there's a translation.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah. But that's the quote I read.
That way.
And the trick in that is there is a entire infrastructure that needs to be set up that does not.
That's like a decade worth of work. Yeah,
100%. Like you are not going to see returns on that until your third term of Mark Carney's government.
Yeah,
if we get that far. Yeah. So there's some stuff you can do in the in between, and sure, a cargo ship that was bound for the United States can be rerouted and blah. But like the infrastructure of setting up major trade deals, and I know we have like a memorandum of understanding with Europe now, and all this stuff. Like you are just not going to see the return on that from an economic perspective in the time you need it to happen. Now, there's a great point to be made of like, why the fuck haven't we been setting this up since Trump 1.0 when he was doing not this much, but a lot of the similar shit? Fair point. But it doesn't seem like we have been based on the fact that all these things were still in place in terms of like the lack of free trade between the provinces and everything else. So that's the concern for me is like, are we just going to sit around and have a, fucking recession for 8 years while we wait to get our other trade deals up to speed?
But if the rest of the world also has a recession, does it count? If we're all doing it, don't we all just look at each other and be like, none of this counts?
There's never been any kind of global depression before, so
not on my watch.
We'll just call this one a mulligan, guys.
We're just taking a mulligan on this decade.
We'll reset back at the 2007 housing crisis and we'll go from there. And part of my ignorance on this, but what are the interprovincial trade barriers? Because I have heard this so many times. It's like, we're gonna break down these barriers and trade east and west. And I have never once heard anybody
As
say
Luke is stretching right now, he's ready for this.
like that it's difficult to import or export Ontario to Manitoba or something. But you know.
Luke will get into this more specifically, but spoiler, it's all stupid.
Okay.
I'm so tempted to be like, all right, get ready. I don't know. No. No, I mean, without getting into all of it, because it's tedious. There's the one big thing is there are different vehicle regulations, which is so stupid, as Ian said. So
literally, so just
transport,
federalize that.
Yeah. There are barriers in terms of any employment that is regulated.
Yeah.
So huge barriers there. So like people who have the right to work in a certain industry in Ontario do not have the right to work in a certain industry in Alberta. So that is a huge limit on
Especially
freedom
medically
of movement.
and stuff like that.
Huge limit on freedom of movement. The other one is literally this one can't be overcome necessarily absent new technology. It's just literally a distance thing. There is so much, like, as ridiculous as it seems, because like we're talking about like exploring the U.S., like the distance between Toronto and New York versus the distance between Toronto and even the rest of Ontario is so, you know what I mean? Like, you can drive, as we all know, you can drive for days and still be in Ontario.
Yeah.
So it's a distance thing as much as anything else.
No, and that's fair. Like that's like a geography of North America problem. Like the Mississippi River runs
Haven't we
north-south.
fixed that yet?
No, but like again, if you built a railroad across Canada or something, I don't all you need is a few 100 human rights violations. Anyway,
that's all? Oh, baby. I think it was a few 100,000.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. We're going to strap TNT to the backs of... anyway send them into we've all seen the Canadian Heritage.
We have, yes.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
And those are just some, by the way. I'm sure if I was researching it, I could name 10 more, and I'm sure I've forgotten a bunch too. But those are the biggest ones.
Also seems like that's a thing that at least seems fixable. Like you can be like...
2 or 3.
Yeah, you'd be like, transport trucks have the same licensing.
And again, that's like having this conference, like the first ministers conference in the Muskokas. Like maybe it is, maybe it is the thing where everyone looks and goes like, "Well, we gotta sort this shit out now," and they actually do. They could.
And there are literal tariffs too. Like there are like I think Alberta charges a premium for Ontario booze and stuff like that, and vice versa. Like there are literally things where it's like we literally don't have free trade, not just like we don't have free trade by consequence.
Yeah.
So there's import duties as well, even though we're importing from another province. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Well, let's talk about, you mentioned human rights violations. Let's pivot on over.
What a segue.
Yeah, thank you. And everyone just take a beat and get ready to get dark. So the situation in Gaza is obviously horrific. The statement that came out this week from the foreign ministers, I guess the prime ministers of all these countries were too busy, but it's Canada and 24 other nations, foreign ministers or foreign secretaries, whatever the case may be, signed a statement calling on Israel to end the war in Gaza because they can't say what it actually is. They have to use the word war, even though it's literally just attacking civilians. This is the quote now, the suffering of civilians in Gaza has reached new depths. The Israeli government's aid delivery model is dangerous, fuels instability, and deprives Gazans of human dignity. We condemn the drip feeding of aid and the inhumane killing of civilians, including children, seeking to meet their most basic needs of water and food. They went on to decry proposals to force Palestinians in Gaza into one city, which they acknowledge is a violation of international humanitarian law. The more accurate, succinct description would be ethnic cleansing. And that's it, basically. So notably missing is any kind of indication of what they will do if Israel does not listen to them for some reason, because Israel always listens to these statements. 2 months ago, Canada put out a statement with the UK and a couple other countries promising concrete actions if their warnings about the famine and the forced starvation were not heeded. And Israel, of course, has not heeded them whatsoever. And no concrete actions were taken. So I guess the concrete action was issuing another statement, but with more countries attached this time.
We're getting them tighter every time. They're getting short. It's like a stand-up set. Like we're cutting out the fat and we're doing them faster, and we're getting a tight 5.
Yeah. Great. That's what we were hoping for out of this whole situation. That and cutting out the fat, you mean cutting out the part where you say what you're going to do if they don't listen to you.
Yeah. I mean, anyone who's worked in a company where they're like, can we water this down a little bit? It sounds a little harsh. Instead of human rights problem, can we say conflict? conflict?
Yeah.
Instead of mass starvation, can we go with food insecurity? Can we?
God, this is so real. You're kind of, I feel like you're nailing exactly what happened in 25 different languages.
Of course, yeah. And like, I mean, this is not at all related to Gaza, but I remember when I worked at a place that perhaps dealt with some flammable materials, they tried so hard not to use the word explosion. And I was just like, no, I understand explosion bad, but it is. Like at a certain point, you're not communicating the danger of something because you're like
An uncontrolled release of energy. You're like,
that's an explosion.
That could be a lot of things you get.
Yeah, right.
That could be bad gas after a burrito.
Think of an implosion, but X. Yeah.
The other way. Twice as dangerous. Yeah. So it does seem like it's, kind of watering down and being like, how can we say these things and backtrack it later in case we get some blowback from it or something?
That you're hitting the nail on the head. That feels exactly to me like this is and talking about working at companies, this is a cover your ass letter. This is a thing I put in a file so that when everyone realizes how bad something went, I can be like, oh look, I wrote this letter, so you can't fire me. That's all this feels like. It doesn't feel like they're actually expecting any action to be taken. It just feels like so that in 5 or hopefully less years, when people really realize what has been done to the Palestinians, they can pretend they were on the right side of history.
Right.
Yeah. And they can make a museum and say it won't happen again. And we won't stand by for this ever again, and clasp hands and make each other look really good instead of
For sure.
doing something.
Yeah, I mean, so I would argue, this is worse than doing nothing then. Because at least if they were doing nothing, I could pretend that, behind the scenes they were working really hard. But when they put out a statement like this, it becomes very clear this is all we got. Like, there's no, also we're working on all these things. Like, it's very clear, this is our only pressure that we're exerting on Israel.
Yeah.
I mean, worse than doing nothing would be sending them $3.3 billion in unaccountable military aid every year, like America is doing.
Yeah, well, Canada's still doing business with Israel too. Obviously not to the extent the U.S. is, but for sure. I mean, and the U.S. was not a signatory to this.
You don't say.
Yeah, I know. Shocking. Yeah, I know. It's like whenever there's a UN resolution calling on Israel, calling on for a ceasefire, it's like Canada and the UK abstain and the U.S. vetoes, and it's like always the same thing. And this is just abstaining, but in longer form.
Yeah, like the only positive I could see from this statement is if they made this statement and then as it's being delivered, it's like the Canadian Navy is sailing to the Mediterranean and using helicopters to airlift supplies in.
Yes,
that would go uncomplicated and smoothly.
No, I mean, of course it would. But again, you'd have to do it as an international body.
That's the concrete.
That would be concrete.
That's a concrete action you can take, right? Because, this is the personal issue I've had with this. Is I've seen so many ads and things on Instagram and Facebook. It's like don't donate to the food program and the Red Cross and everything like that. And you're like, yes, absolutely, that's great. But the issue isn't that there's nobody that there isn't people who want to help. The issue is there's no way to get it there because.
Yeah, the UN came out today and with a video that showed their warehouse in Egypt with 3 months worth of food for every man, woman, and child in Palestine. They have 3 months worth of food ready to be delivered. They have the trucks. They have everything.
That pyramid must be really full.
Jesus Christ.
What, are we talking about something serious?
This is also. Wait, isn't this the plot to Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat?
You got it. You nailed it.
I'm just imagining the one guy who's still believes in the ancient Egyptian gods getting really offended. How dare you disrespect Ra and Anubis will have you. So it's you're right. There's no money that can fix this. There's no amount of money. It's not a money issue. And the donations have been made. I'm not encouraging people not to donate.
No, for sure not.
But it's a situation where there is pure. All that can be done is to open the gates and let the aid in, or to convince Israel to stop killing people at the aid distribution points that they in the U.S. have set up, which seems impossible because they do it every day. They will not. They have made it very clear they will not stop shooting at people when they come to collect aid. Like that. I mean, at this point, if you're expecting Israel to stop doing that after 70 plus days of them doing it every day, some days worse than others for sure, but every day they shoot at the people trying to get aid. And, there's always an excuse. There's always a reason why they had to do it. But at the end of the day, it's it's like how they keep accidentally bombing churches and hospitals. It's like, ooh, whoopsie daisy. It's like, okay, at a certain point, the object of a machine is what it does, and what the IDF does is shoot civilians and bomb places that it shouldn't bomb. So the idea that you're going to somehow convince Israel to not do what it's doing is absurd at this point. So I mean, as I agree with Ian's point that you can't actually sincerely expect Canada to, with our massive military force, show up and start, militarily doing a lot of things unilaterally. Dramatic action is called for. We're in a situation, like people are saying to the, to the Pope, like go to Gaza, because like as absurd as that sounds, like the octogenarian man walking in and like pounding on the gate to be let in, at least that would have some kind of direct action in a way.
If there's one thing that Israelis and Palestinians will respect above all else, it is the most Catholic man on the planet.
But I mean, yes, there have been some historic problems with the Catholic Church going into.
Wait, what?
But like, I mean, honestly, like that's not a terrible idea.
No,
like if you got the Dalai Lama, the Pope, and the third person in this joke.
Joseph Smith from the Mormons.
Joseph Smith, yeah. Or so the Dalai Lama and the Pope walk into Palestine. But like it's like, oh, okay, there's religious leaders here who are willing to stand up for decency and being like, listen,
sure,
whatever is going on here, we're walking into this war zone as religious leaders to be like, cut it out, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, that Pope's still pretty new. I don't know if he's up for this yet.
He's been very clear he is not.
Fair enough, yeah.
But yeah, I mean...
the Pope from Conclave would have done it.
That was my Avengers.
Hollywood Pope was great.
Get the young
Stanley
Pope.
Tucci walking through. I know he wasn't elected Pope, but he's the one I know.
Get the one who was vaping.
The Pape.
Yeah. I mean, in the midst of all this, in the midst of truly, like my Twitter feed, which, yes, I know I'm still on Twitter, is just these horrific images and videos coming out of Gaza. And, in the midst of all this, what does Netanyahu do? He goes on the Nelk Boys podcast, which is, for those who don't know, one, good for you. I'm sad I do. And two, is a Manosphere podcast featuring, I didn't know they were Canadians who have moved to the US, of course, who got internet famous with prank videos, and now have a podcast where they interview fucking Bibi Netanyahu.
In fairness, Andrew Tate dropped out at the last minute, and the Babadook was unavailable. So they needed a fill-in guest, and Bibi was available.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, don't watch it, obviously. Don't give them the hate click they want. But, I saw clips online, and it was, like, insane. Like, they ask him a question, and he just goes on these long answers about how Hamas did everything, and Hamas is doing this, and we've never done anything. Israel never targets civilians, blah, blah, blah. And, like, they don't push back in the slightest. The only time they push back on him, and I'm not making this up, is when he says he likes Burger King more than McDonald's. And they're like, bro, what? McDonald's is way better. And they start talking about the fries at McDonald's versus Burger King. And it's and that's the only moment they're like, dude, you're nuts.
It's almost as if right-wing authoritarians have realized that credulous manosphere idiot bro podcasts are a great place to go get your message out with zero pushback.
Yes, and they have a massive audience.
Oh,
and
good.
that's the insane thing about it, is like and yes, I know we just saw this with Trump and Rogan in the election. And I know
but Rogan's very upset about that now. He's getting to the bottom of it.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna look into it. He's gonna get young Jamie to pull up a clip. But but anyways, but it is. I mean, they are the best useful idiots that I have ever seen, and even like I will say, even amongst the manosphere, which is such a brutal term of podcasters, like even they were getting pushback, because the one thing that is probably worth noting in this, other than how fucked it all is that the right wing is not as with Trump on this as they are with him on almost every other issue. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene just introduced that lunatic just introduced a motion calling on the defunding of Israel, like the U.S. funding Israel, defunding the Iron Dome, which is the thing that Israel uses to protect itself so that it's free to launch attacks wherever it pleases.
Hey, she's against the Jewish space lasers. She's against the Iron Dome. She is ideologically consistent.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And look, she's probably doing
Just realizing that's that Marjorie Taylor Greene.
No, I'd forgotten about the Jewish space lasers, I guess is the...
We all tried to forget about it.
but I mean, that's the interesting thing about this is there's a right-wing backlash to Trump that is brewing over Israel and Gaza.
I do just want to point out the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene is against funding the Iron Dome, which is like the one thing in Israel that actually does the thing that it should do, which is protect people, like protect Israeli civilians.
Yes, but it's the equivalent of saying if one side is, I get there, it's not giving them the gun, but if one side is shooting at someone, it's giving them a shield so no one else can shoot at them. And it's like the Iron Dome is, yes, it's defensive, but it's an offensive weapon.
Still, like, I don't know.
I'm not trying. Like, I know this is a complicated conversation, and again, I'm not suggesting I want Israeli civilians to be hurt in the slightest. But if you make someone invulnerable, then it turns out they're not as considerate of other countries that are vulnerable because they feel invulnerable. And so that's the problem with the Iron Dome.
Can't we all be invulnerable?
That'd be great if you want. That's fun too. Fund Palestine, fund Libya, fund everyone getting an Iron Dome, and I'm fine with the golden. No, it's the Iron Dome. Sorry, and everyone gets it.
Golden Dome's
and that's
the
fine.
bad one.
Yeah. Everyone gets it. That's fine. It's when one side has it, and they're the aggressors in all of these conflicts, that it becomes a obvious weapon of war. But that's a whole other thing. The other thing about Netanyahu being like, I know what'll turn Israel's PR around. More exposure to me. This golem of a figure coming out and just being like, are Palestinians really humans? Who knows? And just revealing how truly crass he is and cavalier he is about human life, and thinking that would sway public opinion towards him.
I mean, America just reelected a corrupt, warmongering, elderly creep who hurts children and hates Iran. So I see why Bibi thinks he can break into the States.
Yeah.
I see why he thinks there's a market for his thing there.
Well, he's also, as he reveals, he's American. He comes out with, he's got zero accent. He has got he's an American guy.
Right.
Yes, he's lived in Israel for most of his adult life, but he grew up in Philadelphia, I think.
Wait, really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So he's, someone
like
could
Rocky.
fact check me on that. But yeah, he's that's the other thing that's so
I
hilarious.
am going to
about
look that up right now because that sounds insane. But
I could be wrong about where he grew up, but he's, there's a reason he speaks with zero accent. And there's a reason that, a lot of the Israeli leaders are from other places originally, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not criticizing them for that. But it's a thing where it's like there's a reason that the Israeli and U.S. are so tied in together, which is a lot of times there's a very, Golda Meir was raised in Wisconsin, I think, things like that. There's a lot of crossover.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's press on from what Israel is doing. It's a very depressing conversation, obviously.
Cheltenham Township, Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's got to be outside of Philly, baby.
He wasn't born there, but he grew up
Yeah.
mainly there.
Yeah, look at me nailing that.
I just
Him
learned
and Charlie Day were drinking at the pub together.
He originally had Danny DeVito's part on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah. He looked terrible coming naked out of that couch. Well, before we move on to our big closer, a quick message to you, the listener, on how you can support this podcast. First of all, thank you so much for listening. If you'd be so kind, if you haven't already, hop on whatever app you're using, leave 5 stars, leave a review. And if you get a chance, tell a friend to listen, share our social media clips. It all really helps us in the long run. But most of all, thank you so much for listening. And if you are interested in supporting us financially, you can hop on over to patreon.com/thebeaverton. You won't just be helping the podcast, you'll be helping the whole Beaverton brand as we try and grow and add new writers and keep making fun of this stupid, ridiculous, wonderful country. And if you're a Patreon member listening to this, thank you so much for being a Patreon member. And we couldn't appreciate you more. That you're the reason we get to keep doing this. You're the reason we came back to this podcast after 6.5 years. So thank you so much. And now it's time for the approximately 10-minute long quiz.
It's the approximately 10-minute long quiz. Brought to you by Time.
Every week I ask our panelists to play the approximately 10-minute long quiz where I put their knowledge of some less widely reported news stories to the test. Panel, our first question. Because the NFL's Washington Commanders play in D.C., they need Donald Trump's approval for municipal funds to be released for a new stadium. Trump has one very stereotypical demand before he signs off on the approval. What is it?
one Qatari jet.
Well, he's got that. So
He's got a taste for them now, and he just wants to collect them like
he wants a
micro
second one.
machines.
I see.
It's like the gas station cups.
They're all different colors.
Yeah. It's the commemorative plates of jets.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah. I had that they've got to return to their old racist name, or at least, is that really it?
That is really it.
Oh my
really
God.
it, yes.
That was my
This is-
first joke too, or rename themselves the Orange Skins.
Okay.
Nice.
he's-
Solid.
yeah.
Solid.
It took me a second to realize that you were referring to his face and not some like so outdated racist term
yeah.
that I was like putting it like, what ethnic group is that about?
He's
Oh
a very
God.
fake tan. That's crazy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, Craig,
that was honestly just a joke I was going to do.
Well, no, it's a long tradition on this podcast of people making what they think is a ridiculous hyperbolic joke and it being the real story. So you're now part of the long lineage of panelists who have done that. But yes,
It's
absolutely.
the Achilles heel of our news quiz.
Yes, he has truthed, our great, and forgive me, I'm going to repeat it, Indian people in massive numbers want this to happen, Trump said. I'm obviously not going to
If there's one group he has his finger on the pulse of, it's Native Americans.
Yeah, I assume he just asked Kash Patel and didn't realize that was a different kind of Indian.
That's it. That tracks.
He wants them returned, and he is using funding as leverage to do it. So again, talking about things rolling back, like the progress that people have made. It's true. It's not just a U.S. thing. In Canada, there's a big push because the Edmonton team changed in the CFL team, changed their name, and now people are pushing them to come back, even though that was also deemed a insensitive racial slur.
Sure.
The term for Inuit.
Exactly.
Well, anyways, point to Craig. Unintentional, but still counts. You can't not take it. Second question. What creative means did a mother in Bangladesh use to stop her son from flying off for a romantic vacation with his girlfriend?
Reminding him that he'd be flying in a Boeing aircraft.
Hey, you're not completely off
Jesus.
track. No, it's not accurate, but you're not completely off track.
See, I was going to guess something about the same, but I don't know. She just stared at him really intensely and like said, "Remember this face." So that the whole time he's trying to, be romantic with his girlfriend, he keeps remembering his mom.
That might work.
How about she learned from some old Jewish mothers how to do a real guilt trip and was like, what? And leave your poor mother here all alone in an expletive and structurally unsound garment factory?
I reject the notion that is just the province of old Jewish mothers. That is old Nova Scotian mothers. That is old Catholic mothers.
Ian's offended on
There's a
behalf
lot
of
of guilt.
Catholics. that you
Fair
didn't
enough,
mention
fair enough.
Catholic guilt.
Yeah. Catholics have had it too hard for too long.
Yeah, and on behalf of the Protestants, that would just require us speaking to our parents. So, the reason I said you weren't far off on the Boeing thing is because it was a plane safety based concern. She called in a bomb threat.
Oh,
That is hardcore.
Yeah, the flight was halted and searched for 3 hours. Then eventually they tracked it all back and arrested the mother, unsurprisingly. The reason it was such a requirement, other than just she didn't want her son with the wrong person, is the son is married obviously to another woman, but is flying off with the girlfriend. So obviously you can see why she didn't want him to do this. I would say the bomb threat maybe going a bit too far. I mean, if you're going to go for it, just plant the bomb.
She would have gotten away with it if she hadn't signed the text.
I mean, you can't stop people of a certain age from signing off on their texts. It's right on top of the phone. It's, Mom, come on.
Love Mom.
Anyways.
Yeah, exactly. There's a bomb on your plane. Love Mom.
Next question. No points on that one. What unique reason, this might not be, even by the standards of this quiz, this might have been too obscure. What unique reason did the Steve Miller Band give for canceling their upcoming tour? And yes, I'm referring to the Steve Miller Band from like the 70s.
They are no longer recouping the costs from their core audience of jokers, smokers, and midnight tokers.
I was waiting for someone to make that.
how about they lost their only way to promote themselves when the U.S. Post Office stopped using "Fly Like an Eagle"?
That's how I learned Steve Miller Band wrote "Fly Like an Eagle." I didn't know that.
I think that they were real smart.
They wrote Big Old Jet Airliner. They wrote both.
See, the tickets are already sold for the tour, so now they're just going to take the money and run.
Had the exact same thing.
Yeah, they're going to disappear with the ticket money after they say abracadabra.
Does anyone know the real answer?
I shudder that I had a thought as I was looking as you asked this question, and I shudder to think that this is the reason. Can I guess?
Of course.
that they're being confused with Stephen Miller.
That's a great guess. It's not accurate.
Oh, thank God. I was like... And Stephen Miller is so unpopular that they can't sell tickets.
That would be amazing.
No,
actually.
Oh, my God.
No, the real answer, the weather sucks. They don't like the weather. They put out a quote. I don't know the details of the band. I assume Steve Miller is the lead singer. They put out a quote saying the combination of extreme heat, unpredictable flooding, tornadoes, hurricanes, and forest fires means we don't want to play.
See,
Yeah, you know what? You can call him the Gangster of Love. You can call him Maurice, but no one calls him a climate change denier.
That's true.
I know that that's the real answer, but still, it keeps me wondering why. Which was also a song about the Steve Miller.
Yeah, no. I mean, I got it from your eyebrow raise as you said it. Otherwise, would have had no idea.
I did a lot of research on the Steve Miller Band.
Yeah, I wrote that one joke. All right, next question. And this is Price is Right rules, aka closest without going over. According to new estimates from Stats Canada, how much per year will raising a child cost in Canada?
The proceeds from selling another child.
I think it depends on whether your kid is the dino nugget and mac and cheese kind of picky eater or the saffron and caviar type of picky eater.
Yeah, all those kids who love their saffron.
I think it depends on how much you love the kid.
That's very relevant. Yes. Sorry, I was swallowing, so it gave it more gravitas. But yes, I would. You can raise a kid for real cheap if you wanna. Mm-hmm. We're talking on average here. So there's a spectrum of, and I think I would argue that there's a spectrum of like. There's the people at the real bottom who don't spend any money, who don't love their kids. And then there's the people who really love their kids. But then the people who spend the most are also the ones who don't love their kids.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're just like, money, go away.
It's like a horseshoe kind of thing where it kind of meets.
Yeah. It's like, how communism and fascism meet at the top. Yeah. But with ponies.
Exactly like that.
Any guesses on the real answer?
I actually do. I saw this in an article. It's like 17 grand they quoted.
Yeah, between 17 and 18 grand a year. Wow. Yeah.
Oh wait, not the whole time.
Not the whole time. So, yeah, just a used Camry every year. But look on the bright side.
Wait, that's what a used Camry costs?
Oh my gosh!
You got to make it right. But hey, look on the bright side. Think how much our kids are going to have to pay to raise their kids. Suckers.
Inflation comes for us all.
It's not even going to be the same amount by the time the kid's 18.
No,
that number will go up over the years.
This is the average right now. By the time a kid born this minute is 18, it's going to be like 38, 39. Well, maybe not that much, but it's going to be like 25 grand. Yeah. All right. Last question is complete the headline. I'm going to read a headline missing some words. You guys fill in the last words. 1,000 people descend on village for UK's largest
swingers party.
What was your guess?
Traffic jam.
Hey, solid.
No, that's good.
Swingers party?
Yeah. I mean, they call it bangers and mash, but yeah.
Also accurate.
Yeah. Wait, no?
Yeah, that's really it.
Hey!
not the bangers and mash part, obviously. But yeah, it's the world's largest sex festival is the headline, but it's a swingers party. It's called, sadly, they didn't have the whimsy of bangers and mash. It's called Swingathon.
Oh,
I know.
They can top that.
Yeah, I know. The 3-day event.
That's the country that invented spotted dick. Come on, guys. Work on it.
But they're very serious about that. There's no whimsy with spotted dick. The 3-day event offers hot tubs, foam parties, mobile dungeons, and sex-themed games with tickets starting at £200. That must be, because it's so well known, that must be awkward taking the time off work, being like, yeah, can I have Friday the 25th off? Oh, is that the date of the world's largest swingers party? Oh, crazy. Who knew?
Wait, did you say mobile sex dungeons?
Mobile dungeons and sex-themed games. But I think we can all assume what's happening in the dungeons.
The bookmobile of sex.
I mean, I've never done anything like that, but I can't imagine being like, I wish I had motion sickness at the same time I was getting my ass spanked or whatever.
I was wondering what specific act you were going to name. I mean, also I don't know what mobile dungeons means. Are they on, is it stockades? Is it like on wheels? Or is it just like, I don't know what it could be.
Are you going around like a parade float?
Yeah.
Just slowly down the road.
I mean, it's Swingathon, baby. Everything goes.
Terrible name. Terrible
name. Great sex. Terrible name. We don't, probably not. I mean, it's probably not great sex. But yeah, so it's Yeah, so that's happening, and you got a point out of it.
God damn
well, at the
it.
end of our quiz, I can reveal that thanks to that 2 absolute attempts to not answer correctly, you have both gotten a point, and any attempt to answer correctly failed miserably, so you both got a point. Normally, I decree by fiat that when there's a tie, no one gets to plug anything, but in this case, I'll make an exception. I will declare, Craig, you're our winner.
Ah, wow.
Craig, us both getting a point is not helping
By
the
accident.
argument that we are the same guy. This comes up a lot when we
does.
hang out.
Yeah. You brothers?
Craig, can you let the people know what you have going on or anything they should check out?
Yeah. So you can check me out. I am the co-host of the Villain Was Right podcast, where a fellow comedian, Rebecca Reeds, and I talk about movies and defend the villains. And it's very fun. And we just did one on the 80s movie Mannequin. So if you want to hear us defend people who don't like having sex with mannequins, that's the one for you.
Would never go at Sex Fest or Swing-a-thon. Shit.
No.
Swing-a-thon.
And other than that, follow me at Craig Fay Comedy on Instagram, TikTok, and the other one, Facebook.
Sincerely check out that podcast. It's hilarious, so fun.
Fantastic
You guys
podcast.
are an amazing duo, and Ian and I have both been fortunate enough to guest on it a few times. So if you want to start with our annoying voices some more, you can check out our episodes on it. But yeah, do check out the podcast. Ian?
It's a good time. Check me out on thebeaverton.com. We got articles coming out every day when I'm not too lazy.
Yeah, no, I mean most days. Most days. No, we have articles coming out every day. It's just most days you post one of them.
Yes.
But yeah, check out thebeaverton.com. Follow us on all your social media. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for listening and have a wonderful week. We'll be back with our season finale or Gone for 6.5 years, respect the bit, next week. Talk to you then.
The Beaverton Weekly Report is produced by Andrew Rivalme in partnership with the From Superheroes Network. Visit FromSuperheroes.com to hear more great podcasts like this.